catalyst for individual and community healing, and workshops, activities, facilitation, all that fun, meaningful work. And 7 years ago, I came up with the idea of Snapdragon, a journal of art and healing. We're in our 6th year of publication, online quarterlies of poetry, creative nonfiction, and photography from across the globe, all with a healing bent. I know some of you through that work, so thank you. And you can check both of those places, online places, on the website. The Work Project's website is poetryheals, HEALS.com, and Snapdragon is snapdragonjournal.com. So that's kind of the work side of me, the creative work side of me. I, for the last several years, have taken a journey to visit historical African-American cemeteries and churches in the South. And I don't want to talk too much about that at this point because my poems are about that. So I'm going to read from my collection. I'm going to show it to you as well, the book. So this is the cover of Resurrecting the Bones. The subtitle is Born from a Journey Through African-American Churches and Cemeteries in the Rural South. And it was published in September by Press 53. So September to December, I was doing my version of a book tour. Really excited, as many of you, to get started this year with traveling and speaking and reading and selling books. And then, of course, coronavirus hit and everything either got canceled or postponed. So I'm really excited to be here to read and to share with you. I've asked that Malika time me because I didn't time myself, and I want to make sure that I'm not stingy and take up more time than is granted me. So butt in at 2 minutes, please, 2 minutes that I have left. I think I won't go longer than 20 minutes, but you never know. Just a little bit more. I do want to speak a little bit more about the collection. Though it is about, the subtitle says that it's about African-American churches and cemeteries in the rural South, I have 3 sections in this collection. One that deals with the actual visits to the churches and cemeteries. One that talks about my reflection as a woman having grown up in a Southern Black church and as a preacher's kid. And one that looks at what's going on in the world with the lens of being a PK that grew up in the Black church. The first poem that I would like to read is God is Woman. I find myself between words, definitions I do not know, shapes my lips cannot form. I feel an explosion where my stomach once was. Black dust, falling, settling. Here on a tightrope between beauty and disease, like red leaves falling and butterfly wings. I'm transformed into a guise. It's complex. The colors of the sunset before the hailstorm. And it is breathtaking. The way my hair naturally coils, the way God winks at me before hers does. I feel a breeze coming beneath the door I once closed. This next piece kind of sets the stage for the collection and the journey that I took. It begins with breakfast, Mary's on Trade Street. It begins with slow grace, words pouring over eggs and grits, soaking up biscuits and Labor Day sun. My uncle saying we should go, like Thomasine and Bushrod, without the urgency, still the rush to find what we didn't know we lost. It begins with a nod, a waving of hands, a midnight train that's gotten off track, a scribbled list of churches our fathers once pastored. We breathe shadows. We mumble hallelujah. We moan instead of sing. It begins with grief of digging dried blood soil and buried stories left dead. We drift toward dirt roads overgrown with loneliness instead, looking for the spot where it first began. It begins with stories. Sundays sitting silently by cast iron pots of boiling water, so close the heat makes you itch. The smell of fire cuts deeper than fresh poured tar. Tears stuck like memories in your bones. And that's pretty much how it happened. My uncle and I were at a restaurant talking about church as we knew it. And my father, who has been deceased now for 24 years, was a pastor of mostly metropolitan churches. And his brother said, we should visit churches your dad pastored before you were born, as well as my grandfather, who was a pastor. And our first church that we visited was a rural church, dirt road, and there was a cemetery next to it. And I wasn't used to being at churches that were that small, that had that sense of community and belonging and history. And I was fascinated by it and started writing poetry just as a way for me to catalog and process and pay tribute and remember. And after a while, I felt like it perhaps could be something more than me scribbling in my notebook after every first Sunday that we visited a church. And I then applied for a grant through the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Arts Council to travel outside of North Carolina and travel beyond churches that were connected to my family, and was able to do that in part due to that grant. I had more information about the places, the specific places, the places that I visited, as well as pictures on the website, resurrectingthebones.com. Some people want to know more of the background. All of that information is there. The next poem I'm going to read is Belmont, North Carolina. I sit among coffee house chatter, a few miles between generations, and the cemetery welcomes my inquisition, though no trespassing is bolded. I pretend not to see or hear the couple sitting next to me talk Harleys, tattoos, the election. I no longer bother. Sip my latte, scribble this poem, the future, this death warrant, reads black and red. Tell me what I missed, or let me live where I've already expired the possibilities. And I'm missing one that I wanted to read, but okay, I'll keep going. As I mentioned, this deals with some of the political or the global issues that were at hand when I was writing this collection. And this next one I wrote in 2015. It has a pretty lengthy epigraph, but it's important to read it with this poem. To Damascus. Every morning at the dawn call to prayer, women and children move silently from Damascus, suburb of Dorma, to the surrounding farm fields, seeking safety from the day's bombardments by the Syrian government. The walk is part of a surreal routine described by the fraction of Dharma's residents who remain, shopping on half-demolished streets, scavenging wild greens, carrying out mass burials. But not even the fields are safe. Recently, medics said bombs killed 2 families there, 10 people, including 7 children. The New York Times, September 15th, 2015. I first read this as a poem. My voice shatters outside myself like it's caught in a thick breeze of cotton stretched low, a smoke-bombed sky. I am surrounded by glass-bound buildings not blown, while greens calmly soak in my kitchen sink a few blocks away. Ham hock waiting. Each of us silently waits for a conversion, a call by a name that alters sleepwalk and surreal. I remember my Sunday school teacher telling the class once that we were traveling the same road of life. Dandelions waved goodbye along half-demolished streets. Dust on your worn feet landed at my doorstep. I sweep, singing songs in a language I cannot make out. Moans, like my grandmother's, coming from beneath my throat, birth those searching. I cannot find what I lost near this mat. Dirty water and religion. I cannot pray. Tell me, how is my tongue to fold? How long is it to stay stuck on the roof of my desert dry mouth? Shh. How long do we have to be silent? Tell me, Saul, how did you know to stop walking? How did you know when to fall? Tell me, children, what do you see when you dream? And are you singing, let's walk together and not get weary? And will we one day meet on the road outside Damascus? Every morning at the dawn call to prayer. I first read this as a poem before collective voices scatter, like cotton-spun bomb clouds shattering inside my palm. So I'm gonna read another one of my favorites. I think it comes off better on the page than reading it because there are quotes. I'll probably do that. Maybe I should do that when there's a quote to help. And this one is Confession. It's 11:30 a.m., the Wednesday after Christmas. Or is it 4 years ago when I tell you I love you, though I cannot remember your name? You who come to me when I sleep and tell me not to forget, is it today or a dream 1,000 years ago that I say I won't? Forget what you already know. Go to a city that changes everything. The sage on the corner of my dream whispers. Pinch me. I turn to the stranger next to me, and now it's 4:30 a.m. and I'm walking among tombstones in Paris, searching for names of Black poets who fought to find themselves here. Or is it 4:30 p.m.? Tell me about love. Tell me what time it is, and I will tell you what life I'm living and with whom. After I've climbed on the healer's table, I'm asked questions. What are you wearing? What's his name? I wonder why these details matter. I have forgotten, so I make them up. Say what comes first to mind. Pretend I am under hypnosis to conjure you, to feel your spirit move in my bones, to see any glimpse of you. Before you come again, I will make the bed. I wrote you a letter on Christmas Eve confessing my disorder. Have you read it? I tucked it under the pillow on your side the night you came to kiss me. The night I felt you sewing up my chest. Is it possible to get a time check? I get lost.
What time is it, Kathy?
It is 7:17.
7:17.
Okay, I think that gives me a couple of more minutes. Thank you. Okay. The next one doesn't have a title. It's the symbols of brackets, but the subtitle reads, Second African American Graveyard, East Salem Avenue and Cemetery Street, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. 50 tombstones, dusty white, or forgotten fog, until we found our way. Near the train tracks, I was told, the bridge to follow. The sounds, the destiny of our past, drops of red blood dried in green grass. Southern dirt buries all alike. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, we stand Palm Sunday plain. To get here, we walked past the all-white church letting out. No one made eye contact. 50 tombstones near the railroad tracks, don't have names. My niece, Caren, is with me. She rubs the concrete stones with her fingers. We make up names of those missing and wonder if we are standing on unmarked bodies, if they wish we were barefoot so they could bless the bottoms of our souls. There is nothing there, just a slab to mark the life of a slave whose blood may live in ours and on this page. Okay, the last poem that I will read tonight is Now. I wrote this in Corsicana, Texas, when I was there at a residency on a fellowship. So it was a wonderful experience. It's titled Now. I am not in the grave, taking dictation from ancestors who call me from sleep to bring them flowers, ends to secrets or cigarettes. I am not staring at the sun streaming through stained glass windows. Steaming through stained glass names of someone's grandparents, long gone past country fields and dirt roads I've traveled to come to an end. I am not listening to tambourines or testimonies about the good Lord. I am not dusting off hymnals or cardboard boxes, holding my deceased dad's cologne or journals or hand-me-down hopes. I am not busy making gumbo of religion and sacrifices while friends sit in the other room talking about the dryness of their hair. I am not thinking of the hours it took to get the red clay out of mine, or how the rue is not yet dark enough. I am not looking at midnight against my lover's skin, questioning where this will all lead. I am not wondering if he sees the tunnels of my thoughts as he travels the lines of my spine. I am sitting at a window, overlooking the gas station that appeared in my dreams before I arrived, abandoned, except for those I meet at 3 a.m., buried in graves I visited midsummer. I bring them cigarettes and ends to secrets. They give me pieces of myself they took as ransom before I was born. I wake remembering why I am here, that beneath the bed where I stay is dirt. Thank you.
Fantastic reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for bringing your poems into my house.
Oh, thank you.
It sounds like you read.
And I have unmuted myself. And this way, just to remind people, you're signing up for open mic in the chat section of things. I'm unmuting Jacinta. Thank you so much, Jacinta. That was a gorgeous. And there were so many lines. I don't know that you could see what people were writing. But I'm going to read some of it to you because I didn't want you not to hear it. So somebody wrote, sound of applause. Oh, this is gorgeous and powerful. Then when you asked for the time, they said, we're all lost too in a very good way. Worry not about the clock.
Oh.
Someone else wrote, the night I felt you sewing up my chest, that took my breath away.
Wow. Thank you.
And then Paloma wrote, I take them cigarettes, the giving up of secrets. Please read those 2 lines again as a request. Are you able to do so?
Yes. Yes. And at the poem, I talk about not doing that. But at the end, I say, I bring them cigarettes and ends to secrets.
Lovely.
They give me pieces of myself they took as ransom before I was born.
Oh, wow. And then Jeanne wrote, I love line about wishing your feet were bare so they could be blessed.
Yeah.
And then Paloma wrote, fantastic, and ends to secrets. Just love that. If anybody has any questions for Jacinta, we could take them via chat and then you could respond to them that way.
Yeah.
And then we can start doing open mic. So far, I have 4 people signed up for open mic. It's Joan, Paloma, Caren, and Kristie. If I have missed you, please put that down in the chat section so I may catch up. Does anybody have any questions for Jacinta?
Let me not
If you
do
do,
that.
you're gonna have to do it via chat because I've got everybody muted.
And I can't see chat. Would you read them to me? Can you do that? Is that too much?
I sure can.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay,
you're on your
Andy.
phone, so I will handle that.
Okay.
So far, no questions. Okay, whoever just said, may I read one poem? We have a list of people signed up for open mic. Right now we're doing Jacinta's questions. So that'll put you 5th in line for that. Paloma has asked, yes, did you journal while traveling and drafting the poetry? How did you capture all the rest of the words and emotions running around your mind and heart on the road?
Yes. Great question. And I'm too far to get it, to grab my journal that I took to every visit. And in the moment, I was taking notes during church service. I was taking notes when I would go visit cemeteries. And it was in the moment trying to capture what I was feeling. There was one poem that I did write while I was in church. And that one is Church Mothers. that's in the book, but most of it was taking notes, the emotions, observations, how people were dressed and saying phrases, music, how many people were there, just really those type of notes. And then I would, after service, after visiting a cemetery, I would try and stop at a coffee shop to write there, or take weekends and go away and write. But I kept it all, I have it all in a notebook. I took a lot of pictures. I took some videos. There's one on my website right after I finished visiting a cemetery, which I'm glad I did, because it truly captures the emotion of it for me. But yes, definitely lots of notes.
Awesome. And just a reminder that if people wanted to order the book, Resurrecting the Bones, they could go to Press 53's site and also your website.
Yes, exactly.
So.
Press 53, order it there. Amazon, the resurrectingthebones.com has all the ordering information on there as well. Yes.
Thank you so much. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Okay, now, oh, wow, we're getting a lot of questions. Hang on. I'd like to hear about Jacinta's process of writing these poems while she's at the site days later. Well, that she kind of dovetailed. That's interesting. A lot of people had questions about the process, because it's obvious there's like research and there's so much in there. So that's fantastic that people are asking that.
Yeah.
Okay, Kalila. It's so good that you're here. I will unmute you so I could talk to you, but she's got a wonderful question here. I am so drawn into historic African-American cemeteries, so your collection especially resonated with me. You talked a little bit about what introduced you to Black cemeteries, but can you explore a little more deeply why you found them meaningful and chose to write about them as an inspiration for your book?
Yes. There are a number of reasons. One, for me, it was a way to pay tribute to what is so forgotten and discarded, even when you think about cemeteries where, condos are going up on, when you think about gentrification, when you think about cemeteries that we don't know about that are being discovered now because they've been unmarked, when you think about the enslaved that are buried that don't have tombstones, that don't have, they may have, a rock, a stone to mark where that body is. So it was part, as a poet, what can I do to honor this? So it's partly I can write poetry to help preserve what it is that I do know and what I've seen and what I've gotten from my research to help tell that story perhaps in a different way. And it was partly, how do I make sense of this? So it started out very much personal. I didn't plan for this to be a collection. But I wanted to share the journey and inspire other people, whatever their ethnicity is, to do the research, to talk to people, to ask the questions, to uncover what it is that we have forgotten and have a tendency to forget. I do have, not that I'm trying to drive people to the site, but I did a blog as well that chronicles some of the journey. That's on the Resurrecting the Bones website too. So you can see more in real time the process of, the prose reflection of the journey.
That's fantastic. It kind of works as a companion piece in kind of like the process. That's really awesome. Yay.
Thank you.
All right, I think that that's the end of the questions. So we will move to open mic. And like I said, everybody, thank y'all so much for, I probably should go ahead and say this. Thank y'all so much for attending. And Jacinta, thank you for being the first one to jump in and try this.
It's wonderful.
Because this is not like something that I, have any experience with at all. But I thought this would be a great way for us to join in and see each other. I'm looking forward to working with you this summer if we get a chance to, but like you said, we don't know. So we're going to open up for open mic, and I will take the spotlight off for you. And I have Joan, Paloma, Caren, and Kristie, and we'll bring you back at the very end if that's okay.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. All right, Joan, you are the first one up. I will come to you right now. I am unmuting you, and then just a reminder to everybody, this is one poem, one page for reading. And Joan, you are up first as our first reader. No pressure.
I got it. In the belly of a rose. In the belly of a rose curls my waiting. How red the rose, swelled by such fruit. How bright the petals, spiraling the core, my unfurled song, child of perfect weight.
Yay. Thank you. I'm going to unmute everybody so they can say yay. You're unmuted if people want to clap.
Nice.
It's lovely.
Yay, Jack.
Yay.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yay. Okay, guys.
You.
All right. Our next person up is Paloma. Paloma, I will unmute, and I'm just unmuting you, and so I will let you know when you're unmuted. You're unmuted, Paloma.
Okay, thank you. The title of the poem is Words, Bombs, and Teacups. Smart bomb,